Welcome to a master guide from a high-elo player for Human Torch in Marvel Rivals. To give a quick synopsis of this video, this comprehensive guide will go over Johnny Storm's abilities with their official numbers from the game devs that aren't in the game's tooltips. We will go over his current team-ups in Season 1, the best crosshair you can use, his best ability combos, and some broken mechanics that you should know about, and then we'll finish off the video with some gameplay tips for playing him in Ranked, so let's jump right into it. The Human Torch, also known as Johnny Storm, is the third flying DPS character to be added into Marvel Rivals during Season 1. For his base stats, he has 250 HP, which makes him categorically a squishy DPS. He has a movement speed of 6 meters per second, and his main mode of movement is flight only, just like Storm and Iron Man. Torch's primary attack is Fire Cluster. It's categorized as a burst projectile, similar to a shotgun blast with buckshots. You have 6 charges of this ability max, and it recharges at 0.3 seconds per use, and it has a fire rate of 0.6 seconds. Its projectile speed is 120 meters per second, which is kinda slow. Its shot damage is 7 per round, and its damage fall off begins at 15 meters, with the damage decreasing to a whopping 60% at 40 meters and further. This attack does have crosshair spread, or firing bloom for simpler terms, and it can critical hit for headshot damage if you can land pellets on an enemy's head hitbox, no matter the range. Torch's secondary attack is Blazing Blast. You channel your inner father from Kids Next Door, and you launch fireballs that create a flame field when they hit the ground. This ability fires as a straight line projectile that will generate a spherical fire field on the ground upon impact. Quick tip, if you directly hit an enemy with this ability, it will spawn a fire field at their feet instantly on the ground, but more on that later. This ability has a max of 3 charges at any time, and it will start recharging instantly after use. Its charge speed is 2 seconds, its projectile speed when traveling through the air is around 80 meters per second, its initial damage done on impact is 40, its flame field range is a 3-meter radius circle, and the flame field's duration after landing on impact is 6 seconds. Johnny's first ability is Flaming Meteor. You dive towards the ground like an actual meteor hurtling towards Earth, and you deal damage to all enemies caught in the impact field radius. If you hit a flame field fireball or your pyro prison wall, you will detonate the spot you land at, dealing even more damage on top of sending your enemies flying. The dash speed of this ability is 80 meters per second, and the range of this ability is roughly a 5-meter sphere radius. The normal damage on impact is around 40, however, the flame field detonation damage on impact is 55 up from 40, and the flame field detonation range is still a 3-meter spherical radius. The cooldown on this ability is 12 seconds. Torch's second ability, which should have been named Flame On, is called Plasma Body. This ability allows you to enter an accelerated state of ascent, which basically just allows you to fly faster in all directions. Activating this ability provides a 50% movement speed boost, which is going to bring up your standard movement speed of 6 meters per second all the way up to 9 meters per second. The maximum energy allowed for use of this ability is 120, and it will cost 15 energy per second to actively use this ability, which give or take gives you roughly 8 seconds of accelerated flight time. Also, this ability has a recovery speed of 20 energy per second. Torch's third ability is Pyro Prison, which I personally like to call Hell's Kitchen. It allows you to form fire walls between your Blazing Blast fireball points that will burn enemies on contact, and if you trap them inside of the ability's walls, will deal continuous damage to them over time. The max link distance between fireball points in order for this ability to connect and activate is 40 meters, and the max link height is 2 meters. Your prison's average duration after activation is going to be 5 seconds, and the firewalls of this ability will deal 65 damage on contact, and will deal a continuous 65 damage over time if caught inside by the prison walls. This ability's cooldown is 15 seconds. Torch's ultimate is Supernova. He bursts into bigger flames and deals immediate damage to all enemies around him, and it gives him a brief stint of damage reduction. After that, he can use his Blazing Blast fireball ability to throw out fire tornadoes that deal devastating damage on impact and over time if an enemy is caught in its radius. The duration of this ability is 8 seconds. The range in which enemies can take initial shockwave damage is 20 meters, and they will only take 70 initial damage. Once activated, you can throw out tornadoes at a rate of 0.7 seconds. The flame tornado's range is going to be a 3-meter spear that is 8 meters high, which will allow you to hit some flying characters and players sitting on high ground. The flame tornado damage over time is 100 per second, and the damage reduction Johnny receives while in his ultimate is a 30% damage reduction from all sources. Quick tip for your ultimate: if you're having trouble getting this ability to stay in range of your targets, throw your tornadoes directly at your target so that way when it makes contact, it immediately hits the ground and starts burning your target with instant damage. Don't bother trying to throw this ability around your targets. That gives them way too much time to run away and not get burned. Human Torch's first team up is United Siblings, which is a team up he shares with the other Fantastic Four characters when an invisible woman is on his team. This team up, once activated, allows Torch to gradually generate bonus health, making up for his previous lost health. This ability's duration lasts 5 seconds, and its cooldown is 20 seconds. The bonus health grows at a rate of 5 bonus HP per 0.1 seconds, and the bonus max health you can be granted at any time is 100 HP. This is a nice team up to overheal with, or quickly patch up your HP bar when you're in a pinch. Now for the team up that's so powerful, it's making the Hulk Gamma team up look average. Omega Fire is Torch's individual team-up with Storm. When the Human Torch activates Supernova, Storm can summon an Omega Fire by selecting a Flame Tornado with Omega Hurricane. The range of this tornado is a 5-meter spherical radius and a 10-meter high hurricane. The new buff damage when it activates for Storm's Hurricane is 110 per second. Simply put, this buff strengthens her ultimate by increasing its overall size, damage output, and time duration. Now, a lot of creators are saying that there are only 2 ways to use this team-up. But what if I told you there was a secret third way? And this new third way will give you extra time to extend Storm's ultimate from a normal 5 seconds to an extended 11 seconds. Let me show you. The first way is when Torch is already using his ultimate and he has a Flame Tornado out on the field. Storm can press her ultimate button on the Flame Tornado and instantly teleport inside of this tornado to start her Omega Fire ultimate. The second way is if Storm is already ulting. Torch can click her ultimate and then turn her into the Burning Hurricane. The third and lesser known way, which extends her ultimate's duration, is when Storm is already ulting and then she paths over existing flame tornadoes on the battlefield. Any flaming tornado that gets absorbed into her hurricane will grow in size and damage and will help extend her ultimate's ongoing duration. Each tornado Storm's ultimate absorbs extends her ultimate by 2 seconds per absorbed tornado. Since Human Torch can have 3 existing tornadoes out on the field at any one time, this means she can gain an extra 6 seconds on her existing ultimate's timer. This is one hell of a team up, let me tell you. Now, let's get into the best crosshair you can use for Johnny Storm to rack up more kills and line up your abilities with more precision. After much testing and experimenting in the range, this is the perfect crosshair that I invented for Human Torch. The crosshair code will be posted in the description for anyone who wants to use this. Why did I invent a crosshair that looks so simple, you might ask? Well, Johnny Storm has a weird projectile for his basic attack and alternate attack, so I designed a crosshair specifically that optimizes your left and right click attacks, while also helping you aim your meteor dive ability as well. This hollow circle crosshair is small enough to allow you to aim for an enemy center mass at any range, which does help you keep your aim centered to land a majority of your fire cluster pellets onto an enemy no matter what range you are away from them. The circle's also big enough so that if you're ever in close range, you can line up your shotgun blast of fire pellets, so that way you can hit headshots on your enemy and get that sweet bonus headshot damage. Most importantly, the radius of this circle crosshair gives you a general idea of how big your blazing blast fireball circumference is no matter how far you are away from it when it lands. Knowing how generally big your fireball radius is becomes huge for placing it down strategically, because not only will you cover the most surface area possible, but it also helps you line up your meteor dash ability when you want to dive onto one of your placed fireballs that's on the ground. This circle being the same size as your blazing blast fireball also helps you aim your fire tornadoes when inside of your ultimate. Now, let's get into some ability combos, secret gameplay mechanics, and settings for Human Torch that you should know about that's going to help you dominate on this character. First things first, go to settings for Human Torch and turn on hold to plasma body. This will take plasma body ability off of toggle and will make it hold only. Doing this for a movement ability in this game will give you way more agency and will help you shave off a few milliseconds of input lag when you want to quickly turn this ability on and off. Next, this combo I'm about to show you is one of the most important combos that you need to know about on Torch, and it's a 3-hit animation cancel combo. First, this combo works when you're relatively closer to the ground and not flying way high up and far away, as you kinda need to be fairly close up to get the animation cancels off in a quick fashion. Basically, you're gonna primary fire and then animation cancel into a blazing blast and then use flaming meteor as soon as the fireball touches your enemy. This combo nukes squishy characters and is the fastest way to kill a DPS or healer hero with the current version of Johnny Storm. Next, understanding how to get the most DPS off with Torch's primary fire requires you to know where you should be aiming and at what distance. Torch's damage falls off after 15 meters. However, since his fire cluster shotgun pellets can still critical hit to the head, you can deal a lot of surprise damage if you know where to aim. When you're close up on your enemies, always aim for the head, especially if you're using my crosshair. Hitting 2 or 3 headshots at close range where every fire cluster pellet connects onto an enemy will make them fall over in a few seconds flat, both tanks and squishies. However, past 15 meters, it's harder to get that same type of DPS off, but you can still hit headshots if you aim for center mass on your opponents. Aiming center mass will allow most of your pellets to hit every time consistently, and it will give you wiggle room for a few pellets to hit the enemy's head hitbox and deal some surprise burst damage even from range. So up close, aim for the head at all times. At 15 meters, try to aim center mass to get some critical hits off so you can dive in and finish a target off before they realize their health bar is being cracked. For our last mechanics of the day, here are 2 blazing blast mechanics that you must know about to level up your Human Torch gameplay. First, stop trying to throw fireballs onto the ground and hope your enemies walk over them. A lot of people may not realize this, but if you aim directly at an enemy player and hit them head on directly with a blazing blast, the game will instantly spawn a fire field under their feet the moment the blazing blast makes contact with them. This is a way more consistent way of getting off blazing blast damage onto an enemy player. The second blazing blast mechanic you should know about is that you can animation cancel your primary attack by pressing blazing blast immediately after inputting your primary fire. This will help you weave in blazing blast shots in between your fire clusters, which can help give a few extra milliseconds to let your fire clusters recharge more efficiently. Now, on to the fun part. What are some good rank tips to know about for Human Torch? First, Human Torch is a zoning and area denial AoE DPS character. You will not be assassinating people like Black Panther or Psylocke on this hero, and you will not be insta-killing people with headshots like Hawkeye or Hela. Human Torch will rack up a lot of damage dealt in a match, but he will have very few final hits to show for it, and that's because his abilities deal their damage mostly in a damage over time format. For a good comparison, think of Infernus from Deadlock, Ana from Overwatch. Damage over time whittles down an opponent's HP slowly but surely. This means a healer can out-heal your damage, but it's up to the other DPS and tanks on your team to clean up kills on enemies that are being burned. A lot of people don't understand this, but Human Torch isn't supposed to be taking 1v1s and trying to get into Wolverine range to deal damage to enemies and kill them. This man is supposed to be flying high and away from the line of sight of hit scans, and then poke around cover to throw out his abilities and deal damage. This way he softens up the enemy team for your other DPS and tanks to finish them off and clean up the kills. If you end a game with 60k damage dealt and only 5 final hits to show for it, congratulations, you're doing your job as long as your team wins. Because doing your job on Johnny means tenderizing the enemy team and making it a lot easier for your teammates to do the dirty work of sending your ops back to the spawn room. Also, I see a lot of newer Human Torch players focusing way too much on trying to land his shotgun blast of a primary fire onto his enemies. This ability should come second to you throwing out your blazing blast fireballs, because these things recharge quick, and they deal a lot of damage over time to enemies who get stuck inside of them, and they enable one of your best DPS abilities in your Pyro Prison. Keeping those fireballs on the ground so that way you can throw up a prison and torture enemies alive is the optimal gameplay loop for a good Human Torch main. Stop trying to dive in and 1v1 a Luna Snow that's separated from her team. You're losing out on mass area of effect DPS trying to 1v1 squishies with your shotgun blast. To review, the optimal gameplay loop for a Torch player is to prioritize your safety and fly high enough for healers to reach you, but low enough that you can poke out from behind cover to pepper your enemies with primary fire damage. And doing your best to keep blazing fireballs on the ground to generate enough damage over time and the chance to erect a Pyro Prison at a moment's notice. On the Domination game mode specifically, always try to keep your fireballs on the floor around the capture point so that way you can create a square Pyro Prison to burn all the enemies inside. Honestly, this is the current fastest way to charge Human Torch's ultimate, hands down.